Dr. Keith Ablow is back in the news. He's on Fox and Friends, and they have this segment called Normal or Nuts. And they were discussing California and how Governor Jerry Brown just recently signed into law replacing the words husband and wife with spouse on marriage documents. And of course, the people at Fox and Friends have a problem with this, and they brought Keith Ablow on to discuss it. Take a look.
Next up, we've got you to weigh in on this third story. California's governor just signed a law that will replace husband and wife with spouse under the state's marriage laws. The law will go into effect on January the 1st, 2015. Dr. Ablow, normal or nuts?
Get ready for the cards and letters. Nuts. Here's the thing. The state needs to get out of the marriage business, because here's what we can expect. There's no way that the state of California can deny a marriage license to 4 spouses now, 8 spouses, or I would say 3 human spouses and the canine they absolutely love. Because if love is the foundation of marriage, they can love their dog too.
Okay, so
nailed it.
Of course, yeah, totally. That was really good logic and reasoning. I would just like to note for the record, if there are 8 consenting adults that want to be in a marriage together, by all means, get married. I don't give a shit. I don't think that gay marriage is like the pathway drug to polygamous relationships, right? Polygamous relationships are going to exist regardless.
And what do you care?
Yeah, what do you care, Dr. Keith Ablow? Like.
That's the whole thing. 8 people might get married and exponentially increase their misery 8 times over. Holy shit, does that like you know?
He's just hating because he can't get a single woman to lay his
ass. Well, there you go.
Well, and also, when it comes to, I think, Fox News, and I think it comes to cable news, it's theater. So I'd like to think that he's not this nuts. Maybe he probably, maybe is. But somebody's like, hey man, say something crazy because, we want everybody to talk about this tomorrow. Like, who gives a shit? I don't care about this guy. I don't know who this guy is. I'm not going to lose a wink of sleep not researching him.
Dr. Keith Ablow?
Oh God, you reminded me. And now I really think, like, does he even believe what he's saying?
I don't think he does. I think he's saying what he thinks Fox News wants him to say.
I mean, he goes on Howard. Howard used to have him on before. I think Howard has
just to make fun of him. Or?
No, because for a while, because he was an Oprah. He was I might be wrong, but I think he was an Oprah guy. He was like a Dr. Phil, because he was sort of, he was accessible. He talks. He's good on TV. But then he started going off on Chaz Bono and like how this idea that sort of that transgender people were sending a wrong signal and telling that it's okay for boys to mutilate their bodies to become women. And he got really super ugly. And he'd already made it. Like, so I don't think he's saying, he thinks these things. And like Rick Santorum, who all he did was put a more pleasant face on Rick Santorum's, this will lead to bestiality and man will have sex with dogs. And of course, what that lacks is consent, Keith. So you're incredibly wrong there. Everyone would realize that you can't have carnal relations and marry a dog. That said, the state is not going to allow 8 people to get married because it's going to stay between 2 people, right? 2 people, that's what we recognize as a marriage. There is no movement in this state to allow marriage in this state or any other state to allow marriage between 3, 4, 5, 6 people. Everybody on this panel, if people want to live in a polygamous relationship, whoop-de-doo, but we don't expect, and no one in the country is going to think that they should be able to get the exact same benefits for 6 people that the 2 people get. So if you're in a polygamous relationship, pick the 1 person who can visit you in the hospital. All right, that's what you have to do.
This is the first time that I've really heard someone go, the state needs to get out of the wedding business. The church needs to get out of the wedding business. Since when is this a state problem? The whole point is God said that this isn't right, and that's it. And don't you think that if somebody who was maybe an atheist or just non-religious felt this way, wouldn't you be a little more curious to hear their point? Personally, that's what I'm looking for. I have yet to find somebody.
The state needs to get out of the marriage business. Well,
then
why would he give a shit about any of it then? Then it would be nobody's business. Then anybody could just do whatever they want. There'd be absolutely no regulation. So Dr. Keith Ablow, a lot of times when I would see comedians who I didn't think were good, and they would go on and everybody would introduce him, he's a comedian, and they would be horrible, and I would be like, he's making me feel bad to tell people I'm a comedian. And when Dr. Keith Ablow goes on, there are physicians across the country going,
But they're unwilling to say the crazy, kooky things that are required on Fox News.
Yeah.
It's that simple. And look, like, There have been moments where I've made appearances on certain cable news networks, and they want you to be a little sensationalistic.
Outlandish.
They want you to stand out. They don't want you to be a reasonable person because that's boring to them, right?
Yes.
You're just
Right.
going to mix into the crowd, and they don't want that. So.